La STM vous souhaite la bienvenue à bord.
Doing his best to get you there on time. This is In Transit on the Elias Macco Show, CJAD 800.
One of my little guilty pleasures in life is I love to watch that border security show. You know what I'm talking about? Nicole, do you know that show at the airports and at the border crossings, right? It's the reality show at the Canadian border crossings. You ever seen it?
Never seen it.
You've never seen it?
No.
Oh, my goodness. It's really good. Border security, I love watching that show. I will watch those things on a loop. I love when they do like the whole day of programming of border security. I love those shows, but you know what? It makes it seem you get to the border, you're returning to this country, especially in the before times, right? That whole show, they're pulling people out of line. They've caught them with having the meat in their luggage, right? The people trying to get into the country with more than $10,000. Seems like they catch everything and anyone. But when it turns out, when it comes to enforcing the quarantine, they may not have all the abilities they would like at the border. Jean-Pierre Fortin is president of the Customs and Immigration Union. Jean-Pierre, thanks for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure, Elias.
So, Jean-Pierre, you also work at one of our either land crossing or airports as well?
I'm an officer myself, but right now I do perform the responsibility of being the national president for all the Customs and Immigration Union folks. So I represent 11,000 members, those that you get to see on the show, as you pointed out, and every port of entry, land border, airports, seaports, and others. So they're part of our organization.
Okay, so Jean-Pierre, explain this to me. It seems, when I watch that show, it seems you got a lot of power, right? Those people trying to smuggle in various products into the country, you got them, you're finding them, you're putting them in jail, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the quarantine, what I'm hearing is you don't have if someone shows up at the border and says, you know what, I'm not going to listen to quarantine, you don't have all the power in the world. Can you tell our listeners just what powers border agents do have to ensure people follow the quarantine?
Well, we're so far not. You're right. We don't have an awful lot of powers to enforce the Health Act, even though our officers are being designated under the Quarantine Act, but only to refer a passenger that tells us, or we do suspect that they don't have a quarantine plan. They will not be, doing any plan. So, and it's a reporter actually that told me that about a couple of days ago. So he said, Mr. Forte, you're basically saying that if somebody tells you right flat out to your officer's face that you're not going to be self-quarantined, you got zero power. And the answer is sadly yes. We don't have any power to enforce the Health Canada legislation.
Okay.
So we only have the power to refer them to Health Canada. But unfortunately, with the lack of resources that Health Canada do have, there's very little chance, that there's a lot of following ups afterwards.
So
they're coming back from Florida, they're going back home. And there's not an awful lot of checks that are being done afterwards.
We're with Jean-Pierre Fortin, president of the Customs and Immigration Union. So you're telling me right now, Jean-Pierre, someone flies back to Trudeau Airport, whether it's from Florida or Cuba or wherever they've been, and they tell the customs agent, I'm probably, even if they were to tell them, you know what, maybe I'll stay home for a few days, I'm not going to follow it. The power you have is just to refer it to another agency, Health Canada, that is already taxed to the max.
Exactly.
Wow.
And to give you a quick example, Elias, it's Health Canada, at times they're not there all the time at the Trudeau Airport or even at the Pearson Airport. There might be times that they're not around, and we understand they are busy under the circumstances. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We understand that. But at the end of the day, I think there should have been a solution, probably to give more powers to our officers to be able to enforce that, because we do deal with them. We're the one that actually sees them, question them, look at their luggages. Something should have been thought out. And again, we're in this pandemic. It's going to be almost a year now, and that's been going on since the beginning.
Let's go back to the example of my favorite show, right? So the border security show. So someone shows up, they're smuggling, let's say, some undeclared meat, okay? You can find them, right? You can give them that. You can find them. If someone's smuggling drugs, you can arrest them. Is there anything in place for someone who's a scofflaw on when it comes to this pandemic? Maybe, and maybe we're thinking outside the box here. Maybe it's not the quarantine stuff. Maybe it's something else that they could say to you or you could discover that would allow you to fine them or detain them.
Yes, under the criminal code, we're designated when we're performing our duties, just like any police officers. We're considered peace officers. But when it comes to the pandemic and certain pieces of legislation, like the one we're dealing with now under Health Canada, where even though, again, we're designated under the Quarantine Act, we don't have the authority to arrest them under that piece of legislation or even fine them. But you're right. On any other pieces, the Food and Drug Act, a criminal act, if somebody do have a warrant, we will be executing the warrant at the border, but not under the circumstances that you just described.
So are you asking for the federal government, and I don't know what ministry this for, whether it's immigration or it's the transport ministry, are you asking for more powers here? What do you want to see to make your job easier so that you can secure our borders properly?
Well, that if our officers would have the authorization, and it's, I'm not a lawyer, but this is something probably that could be pretty simple for the government if they decide to give us that authority to at the very least be able to react immediately. If somebody tells us, and it did happen, flat out in our face, said, you know what, I'm not going to do the quarantine, I'm not going to self-isolate it, I think we should be able to intervene immediately. Intervene how? At Trudeau Airport, there's tons of hotels nearby. The government can have rooms there that we can force them immediately. You're going right there, right now, and you're going to be isolated for 14 days in a row. And then there could be some supervision that would come with that. I think that could be a solution. Same thing with Toronto. Same thing with Calgary. Same thing with Vancouver, which are the major airports in Canada where people are flying right now. So that you would be increasing the level of security.
Jean-Pierre Fortin is the president of the Customs and Immigration Union. Jean-Pierre, thanks for coming on the show. I got to tell you, people listening to this interview right now, they're sending me text messages, and boy, are they frustrated that you don't have these powers. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
It has been a pleasure.